Hello again, hockey fans. Are you ready to brave the wild with me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Owygen? Brave the Wild is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps and also on the Hockey Podcast Network, or THPN. I want to thank Dylan and Kyle so much for having me on board that awesome network and website coming in out of Vancouver, British Columbia. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The sun is shining. The buds are already opening. It's going to be warm today until it gets cold on Saturday. Oh, goody. At least you're in the upper Midwest, Twin Cities, whatever you want to call it. Stanley Cup Playoffs are here. Hockey playoffs are here. The Minnesota Wild will be on the road, of course. Yeah, of course. Third best team in the Western Conference, but have to start off on the road. Just like the Minnesota Vikings years ago in 2014. It's just, I don't know, it's the way it is. Minnesota versus Dallas, second versus third in the Central Division. Well, the Minnesota Wild did play 4 games this past week. They were not very good. Maybe I can just kind of briefly look at them, not really, analyze them or anything. They finally won a game at the end anyway. The Minnesota Wild in a back and forth battle felt like a playoff game in Dallas, Texas on April the 9th, the day, the evening after the show last week. Minnesota Wild lose a back and forth battle to the Dallas Stars. Kind of felt like a Game 7 against the Detroit Red Wings or something years ago. That kind of thing. It just, I don't know, or whatever. Like maybe like if the Dallas or the Colorado Game 7 in 2014 went south. That's kind of what it felt like. It's like, yeah, I think we might win this thing. And then, I guess not. This sucks. That's kind of how things took place there. Lots of concerns with Mr. Philip Gustafson going into the postseason. And I echo your feelings. I echo your fears and frustrations. Some of those goals given up were not so great. Obviously, again, the second pairing hasn't been third pairing has not been so great. Of course, the second pairing's been fine. Jesper Wallstedt does seem to be the better goalie going into the postseason. They still haven't officially announced who the goaltender for Game 1 will be. But I got to think, even if it is Philip Gustafson, it's got to be, again, like, if you're giving up 5 goals in Dallas, Texas, you got to go with Wally in Game 2, or Volley, or whatever you want to call him. Jesper Wallstedt in Game 2. That was kind of my approach last week. And we'll get into fan interaction again coming up, where it's literally all about the series versus the Dallas Stars. This show is going to be about the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Of course, this first segment will be the Dallas Stars. Second segment will be the Stanley Cup Playoff preview. I'll try my best to keep it fairly brief and not babble on and on and on. As best possible, just kind of get my predictions out there. I've been going back and forth. I'll probably be going back and forth as I'm doing it. That type of thing. But yes, that's kind of where we're approaching things. And of course, should be a fun fan interaction segment all about the series. There's just a poll that went up, and it did a lot better than ones in the past. So it did really well. So I want to thank some people, and I'll get to it. I do believe for people that did retweet it, that did help generate that particular poll to becoming more on the viral side. Wallstedt faced 22 shots. See, again, it's not like we're giving up a whole lot of shots. Only 20 shots to Dallas, and Mr. Gustafson gave up 5. That's pathetic. That's 75%, if you can do the simple math there. Wallstedt faced 22, gave up 2 goals versus the Nashville Predators in a 2-1 loss. Kind of like a Josh Harding performance in the past, but he'd usually face something like 40, and then they'd lose 2-1 to the elite Detroit team or something. Back when Detroit was one of the best teams in the league still. Remember those days. Whereas this year they of course collapsed and missed the playoffs. So definitely a big bummer there in Detroit. It's crazy. It's crazy to imagine. Of course, Mr. Tarasenko played last season and was disappointing there. Viking, Gustafson, Nyberg playing against the St. Louis Blues. How about that? Philip Gustafson and net facing 21 shots, gave up 5 goals. 5 goals against the St. Louis Blues. So, yeah, it's a concern. It's a concern, and it should be. I think the Minnesota Wild should go with Volley. Petrie has not been good either. And you know what? I think, he's one of those. I think he's a 7th defenseman, if we're going to be smart about this, if humanly possible. Viking, Gustafson, Nyberg. It just rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it? You can imagine the angry video game nerd when he was talking about, the Japanese version of Castlevania Rondo of Blood. That's the one we didn't get, unfortunately, until much later. the prequel to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's arguably the best game of all time in the Castlevania series anyway. It is. It's an outstanding game. Doesn't mean it is the best of all time in the series, but I think it's in the conversation. It's in the top 2 or 3, and we didn't get it. What was it called? Oh boy, Dracula's. I can't remember. Can you believe this? Yeah, it was funny how he said it, but it was like 5 words, and he was like, and then he had that Castlevania 3 like level 1 song playing in the background. And he's like, just rolls right off your tongue. Okay, I think I'm remembering. It's like my brain is coming back. The Devil's Castle, or Castlevania Devil's Castle, Rondo of Blood, something along those lines. And he's like, just rolls right off your tongue. Like, what the heck was that? And yeah, Viking Gustafsson Nyberg. VGN for short. What do you think of that? Maybe if he was a basketball player, they'd call him VGN. But I suppose in hockey, they do the same thing. They say Jeek, Drew Eriksson. Yeah, it's adorable. Yep, again, you got a lot of players, or at least a few players in there that you normally wouldn't see at this stage because the seed was set. No reason to have a bunch of players risking things out there. You did have Vladimir Tarasenko, who got an assist versus his former club where he did win a Stanley Cup in 2019. You saw the likes of, Nick Foligno got back in there, a goal and an assist. Nico Sturm finally getting back in there. Fabry, Jones, Ben Jones, who finally scored a goal earlier this year. Poor guy. Abe Kubel, Matt Kerstad, of course, Viking, like I mentioned earlier, and Petrie, who has not been too good. He's been putrid, unfortunately, of late. St. Louis has had a pretty lousy season, but then again, I guess they did finish above 500, which is kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but again, for the 99,000th time, further proof that making the playoffs in the NHL is not nearly as easy as it used to be. Like, you could be like 7 to 10 games under 500, and you just might finish 4th place in your division, 4 out of 5 teams, and make the playoffs. It was crazy. And the North Stars had an awful record in 1991 and went to the Stanley Cup Finals, because we still called it that back then. I think it still rolls off your tongue better than the other one. Unlike the young generation who makes fun of people who are like, oh, yeah, you added an S to it. You sound stupid. Okay, that's real dumb, I guess, that we said finals instead of final. Gosh, I just feel so stupid. Oh, I'm so sorry I did that. Morons. Anyhow, 3-2. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people have attitudes like that. 3-2 victory versus the Ducks, kind of similar to last year, where the Wild were, kind of not playing so hot throughout the game and then kind of turned it on at the end and won. That Anaheim team missed the playoffs. They were basically a 500 club. A guy by the name of, the current Iowa Wild coach, Greg Cronin, of course. Greg Cronin, a veteran coach who's won a national championship as an assistant, I suppose. I thought he'd won it as a head, but no, assistant with Lake Superior. That was, with Jackson there. That was a great program for a while in the 90s. Okay, where am I going with this? Well, yeah, the Wild beat that Ducks team. Cronin was let go, unfortunately, because, even though the Ducks improved dramatically, they went from a team that was just at the bottom. They were awful, kind of like Vancouver this year. And the year with Cronin, just like one single season or 2 years with Cronin, and they'd gotten them to a halfway decent team, like 2 games above 500 or so. And, and they let him go. That's nice. But anyhow, now they're a playoff team with Mr. Joel Quenneville, but their record isn't all that great. Kind of like the other side of the whole playoff thing, where maybe it is a little easier if you're in a certain division or something, or whatever. But yes, the Wild beat the Ducks again in the season finale again, and I got to be at it last year, and this year I didn't, so I'm a little bitter about that. Kind of, not really, not bitter, just sad. Would have been nice, instead of being at a miserable place where people are not nice all the time. They're just mean as heck. Yeah, they can be. You can guess what place that would be. You're off Height and Fabry getting a rare goal. Hunter Haight, not Height, did I call him Height? Hunter Haight getting the goal. Of course, Viking was out there. +2 for him for Mr. Viking. Skol, Mr. Nyberg. Good game for him. And so on and so forth. The Minnesota Wild went 3-2. And who was in net? Who do you think? Jesper Wallstedt. He did face 37 shots and stopped 35. Jesper Wallstedt needs to start for the Minnesota Wild in Game 1 against the Dallas Stars. It's just the right decision, I think, but we'll see. All indicators tell us that's the right way to go. I know you're not necessarily playing against the, this isn't like playing against the Stars in Game 1 right here, but odds are I think he would perform better than Gustafson did, because he did play against the Dallas Stars, and it was full squad on both sides. So they were still competing for something at the time. And we lost because we gave up a bajillion goals. We scored 4, but we gave up 5. And that's not good enough. Sorry. Just like the sign supposedly says in Grand Casino Arena. Just like the sign supposedly says there, good is not good enough. Well, yeah, it's not good enough. Damn it. So, let's bleeping win and stuff. Would be great. So, the upcoming series, where do we go with this? I don't know. That's about it. I don't know, honestly. I'd like to say I do know. I really would. I'd like to tell you I'm some kind of expert, but even an expert could come in and analyze every little stupid analytic in the history of the world, and they could be flat wrong. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Maybe Philip Gustafson gets 3 shutouts or something in the series. He just might. He probably won't, but he might. He just might. And it would be kind of cool if he somehow pulled that off. Odds are he won't, though. What's driving me nuts is none of the games are officially scheduled yet, which is driving me nuts. It pisses me off, but most likely Saturday. Oh, God. It's like, okay, where's the games? No, they didn't schedule them yet, did they? And we're talking even on NHL, so not just Yahoo Sports or ESPN, but NHL. They didn't even, it's just not scheduled yet. So it's not just Yahoo or something making a mistake, because no, they're not. I think they'd be Johnny on the spot if humanly possible. You'd hope so. But, the official games aren't scheduled yet, which drives me nuts. But the upcoming series, obviously, again, like I've been just kind of the theme here, I think the Wild should go with Jesper Wallstedt in Game 1. But then again, if you do go with Gustafson and you give up 4 or 5 goals and you lose on the road in Game 1, Jesper Wallstedt needs to start in Game 2 on Monday or whatever day it is. More than likely Monday or Tuesday. Jesper Wallstedt needs to be in net, and you hope for the best there. And again, I'm not trying not to say too much about the goalie tandem, because I'm sure there's going to be some questions coming up in fan interaction. I don't want to, wear out the whole conversation before we even get to it. That would be kind of rude of me at the end of the day. Like, I already talked about that. No, I can't do that. That's just not nice. Obviously, the series does bring some intrigue in so many ways. Again, it's the former North Stars. We know the former North Stars, though it has been 33 years already. 33 years, man. It could run for somebody born the day the North Stars left could run for public office. Yeah, that's weird. That's absolutely crazy. Marian Gaborik. I just called him Marian Gaborik. Kirill Kaprizov. I hope he's not Marian Gaborik, frankly. God bless you, Marian, but you couldn't stay healthy, damn it. Kirill Kaprizov, 45 goals to lead the team in goals. Matt Boldy with 42. 89 points for Kirill in 78 games. Thought he was going to have like 110 early in the year, but it just wasn't meant to be. Boldy, maybe he'll be a 100-point guy next year. That's a nice lofty goal to head towards, but a lot of you that picked much earlier in the year that Boldy could at least get to the 80-point mark in his career, well, you nailed that one on the head. Nailed it. Now let's nail that 90 to 100 range. Wouldn't that be nice? 90 next and 100 next? He's definitely taken those steps forward, and it's greatly appreciated. Wasn't it just last year? Couldn't have been his first year with 60. I think he got 70. Yes, so he has been taking those steps. His rookie year, he missed 40. He got to 39, but he only played 47 games. Second year, 63, which had us all excited. That was that March of Boldy year where he had 31 goals. Like, whoa, nice start to your career, young man. And then it's like kind of ups and downs, but still finished with 69 points in 23-24. That had us fairly excited. Last year, some ups and downs, but, had more assists than goals. It's like the goal totals were dropping from 31 to 29 to 27, and then 73 points, and then he jumps up to 85 this year. So hopefully next year he'll reach that next plateau of 90 or maybe even 100. He'll skip the 90 plateau and go right to 100. But I do see Boldy as a potential 100-point player now, and it's extremely exciting. Quinn Hughes finished with 53 points in only 48 games for Minnesota. An incredible season for Quinn Hughes. Again, you hope he can go in close to 100% at the end of the day. 76 total points, 7 goals, 69 assists for Quinn Hughes. And just the 53 alone were record-breaking for defenseman for a full season for Minnesota. That would have been Ryan Suter. Again, I kept thinking Ryan Suter had a 54-point season in there. Nope, he only had 51. That was his highest season and the highest scoring season by a defenseman in Wild history. Quinn Hughes beat it in 48 games. Brock Faber also tied it in 80. So Brock Faber ties Ryan Suter, the same year that Quinn Hughes, basically shatters it, in terms of the amount of production and the amount of time he was here, but 76 freaking points. Imagine if they were all here. That would have shattered a 51-point season record set by Ryan Suter years ago. So amazing. That tells you again, this team I think has a legitimate chance. It's just unfortunate you get such a tough matchup in the first round and an extremely tough matchup even if you get past the Dallas Stars, unless somehow somebody the Colorado Avalanche are eliminated in the first round by like the LA Kings or something. Kind of like what the Kings did in 2012. Vancouver had the best record in the league. Kings swept them. Yeah, that was crazy. And it's like, oh, the Kings? Oh, we'll take care of that. No, we won't. The Kings pretty much swept everybody until the Cup final that year. It was pretty wild. It was nuts. I mean, it's like, what the hell? This 8th seed. They were better than their record and their seeding and everything. They just dropped at the end of the year. But I don't think anybody saw that coming. Great renaissance by Vladimir Tarasenko. 23 goals, 24 assists, 47 points. Again, I don't know. I don't want to go deep into State of the Wild here, but it is kind of cool to look at some of the season finishes. Final one here, at least I think it's the last one for now. Rookie year finishes for Danila Yurov, 73 points in 73 games. I wish he had 73 points. 27 points in 73 games. Okay, sorry. So, yep. Sorry for sounding really dumb there. All right, let's just keep rolling here, but fun, exciting, and all that good stuff. Wallstead does officially finish with the better goals against average, which you'd think so, 2.67, where Philip Gustafson anyway, 2.69. On paper, it's like, okay, you got some good goaltending here. We're going to be fine. When you see how damn inconsistent it's been. And yes, 8 total shutouts, 4 apiece for the 2 goalies. But it's like the inconsistencies going into the series are scary a little bit, despite the fact the overall stats are good. But again, you look at the Dallas Stars statistics in their net, just on paper alone, and they're both better. That sucks. Yeah, that just totally sucks. Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? Casey DeSmith, wonderful numbers for a backup goaltender. Again, the pressure's off. He's been a starter, like mediocre starter for the Pittsburgh Penguins years ago. Mediocre, 2.43 with a save percentage of 90.7. Jake Unger somehow finished under 90% because he had some meh games this year. He also had 4 shutouts like a Philip Gustafson and Jasper Wallstedt. Casey DeSmith had 1. Save percentage of 2.59. So again, kind of similar to Wallstedt, whatever. And Philip Gustafson at the end of the day. Jason Robertson, I can't stand him, but he's a good player. Yes, I respect his abilities. He played all 82 games, as did Wyatt Johnson, both of them finishing with 45 goals on the season. 45 goals for those 2 guys. It's just ridiculous. Mikko Radnin definitely, Zuccarilloing it with 55 assists with his 22 goals. Great season for him as well, coming from, Colorado and such. 77 points. Great overall season for him. Good job for Mikko Rantanen. And unfortunately, he's on the Stars. Wish he stayed out in the Eastern Conference. Oh, I wish. Why couldn't you just stay out there? Wouldn't that be great? Why Colorado? Like, why? Or why Dallas? Excuse me. Yeah, Colorado, but then why Dallas is what I'm trying to say. I'm being an idiot. Why Dallas? Sam Steele, 33 points. Where the heck did that come from? Solid season. Not a great player, but he's all right. Jimmy Benn, who annoys people, I'm sure. 36 points in 60 games. He's ancient history, kind of like Parise Suter. At the end there, they were getting to be pretty ancient. Rupe Hintz, who missed a number of games with 44 points in 53 games. Solid, strong. So you got some nice players over there in Dallas, unfortunately for us. Cameron Hughes, I don't know if he's related to anyone with that last name. But Robertson with Jason, that is, with 96 points on the season at plus 22. Somehow Wyatt Johnson was a minus 5. Wrap your head around that. Wyatt Johnson was a minus 5. Huh. It's just weird, isn't it? Rupe Hintz, 16 plus. S.L. Lindell, man, 32 plus. He's a plus. He's a 30 plus. I'm sorry, with 32 points. It's just crazy. He's a plus 30. Just on the ice at the right time, I guess, and a good stalwart, solid, stay-at-home guy. So, good for him. Yes, the Stars are annoying. Yes, that goal horn is intimidating. The fans are intimidating. Just being there is tough. Again, there was a stretch where, the Minnesota Wild didn't win a game for over 20 years in Dallas, Texas. Over 20 years in Dallas, Texas. So it's like home ice occasionally does mean something, especially against this team, which, if the Wild win this series, it'll be an amazing accomplishment. It really will. And I do believe the Wild can win the series. No doubt. They absolutely can. But will they? Will they show their true abilities here? Both teams are very deep. Both teams are very tough. Heiskanen is a hell of a player, obviously. Heiskanen, 63 points on the season, 9 goals, 54 assists. He's like a bigger Quinn Hughes, I guess you can say. Obviously, he's a stud of a defenseman. Matt Duchene bringing that veteran presence. He's missed a ton of games, 57 games, but 45 points. Extremely, efficient in the time he's been out there. Certainly efficient. He's not hurting anybody necessarily. Tyler Seguin, yep, he's missed almost the whole damn year. I don't think we're seeing him or anything, but it's just saying. Faxa, he's at his moments, but generally not really. It's not like anything spectacular there. But, the Stars are ninth in goals, second in goals against, second in the league in goals against, second. That's what I'm telling you. It's going to be tough. It is a nice accomplishment that the Wild did score 4 goals against Dallas. It just sucks that we gave up 5. They have the 5th most assists. Power play, they're number 2 in the league. And with the Wild's mediocre penalty kill, can't afford to get into penalties, guys. And it's terrifying. They're the number 2 power play in the league at 28.6. Penalty kill, they're 12th. That would be the Stars, of course. Penalty minutes, 16th, and they have the number 1 shooting percentage in the league, which I guess makes sense. I guess. I mean, they're capitalizing their shots in Dallas, Texas. So there's that. The Minnesota Wild are 10th in goals and the 5th in goals against. Again, but up and down. But 5th, that's way up there. 3rd best power play in the league, which is insane to think about where this team was. But it helps when you have a Quinn Hughes on that power play. It really does. And Brock Favors is being as incredibly productive as he's been. It's been wonderful. Obviously, again, tying Ryan Suter for the all-time, most points for a defenseman in a season for Minnesota. They have the Minnesota Wild have the 27th the 27th most penalty minutes in the league, so that's great. So what are we? Yeah. What are we, like 5th? We are the 5th best team at staying out of the box, basically, depending on how you look at it. I'll do the Minnesota Wild capitalize on goals, kind of, sort of. They're 15th in the league in shooting percentage, so there's that. It's a scary matchup. Oh, I like that old logo. I still like it, even though it gives you awful memories. Where it says Stars rather than the D with the star in the middle. I'll take the Stars look versus the D with the star. I don't like the D with the star. I just don't. Which one do you prefer out there? That should be a poll. And like 5 people will vote on it, but still, I hate that. I hate that D star look. It does nothing for me. Maybe some people are like, it's way better. What are you talking about, you dummy? I don't know, and I know it's awful memories, but still at the same time, there's good memories too. Because I don't know, I liked that at the very beginning when they first changed it. I didn't realize what was going on. Some people, like the Lou Nanny's dead. He's like, this is not a good sign, folks. That's what he was saying behind the scenes, basically, back in the early 90s. Where a certain Calgary, Alberta businessman took over the team. Yeah, that guy. We don't need to say his name here at the moment. We've heard it too many times already. But, yeah, it was a fresh new look at the time. And then it's like, man, that's cool. I just kept staring at it, and I kept loving it. I loved watching them play and all that, wearing those uniforms. And then it's like, oh, that's why they did that. Oh, son of a biscuit. And then it's like you realize just how great the N Star truly was. Plus, the color scheme was better anyway. It's like, you didn't, you appreciate what you had before that a hell of a lot more. But, I don't know. I still like that Stars look more than the D Star. Enough of that. It's an intimidating matchup. So far, they've kind of been like the Yankees to the Twins. That's kind of what the Stars have been. They kind of have been. I mean, it's that intimidating it's that arch rival, that, and it is okay to say we're arch rivals. It is. It's not like, like the Wolves and the Spurs, like, oh, shut up, you're not rivals. Yeah, the Spurs have 5 championships. The Timberwolves had done nothing at the time. They were like, they weren't even a playoff team. They're like, come on, you're not rivals. And I was like, okay, division rivals. We're in the division way back in the day against each other. But this team, I think you can say the Wild and the Stars are rivals. I think you can. Heck, it's the 3rd series against the team. Hopefully 3rd time's a charm for Minnesota here. going back to 2016, and then just a few years ago, the Wild lost to the Stars in 6. In both cases, might end up the same, and I hope not. Truly hope not. Of course, you're seeing people wearing Stars jerseys in commercials, too. Get out of here with that nonsense. But I would say this is, it's the best opportunity for this team, Minnesota, not only to beat the Dallas Stars finally in a playoff series, home or on the road, but the best team to potentially go all the way. To not only get out of the first round, but go all the way. They can. Do we have a number one center? No, but we have a very good center in Joel Eriksson-Ek, and he's healthy. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Again, the record-breaking defenseman. They both have won the gold medal. You can just imagine just the coolness of that. They both have won the U.S. Olympic, the official one, gold medal. Not some random tournament or whatever that we made up just 2 years ago, but the Olympic gold. They won the Olympic gold. Almost 46 years ago was the last one. It's just thinking about that. It still sticks in my mind to this day. Zuccarello's still playing phenomenal. 54 points for him on the season. Boldy and Kaprizov, incredible seasons. You have the pieces to do something special here, as long as the goaltending is up to par at the very least. Up to the task is probably a better way to put it. Marcus Johansson, do I trust that 49 points translating into the playoffs? No, I don't. But luckily he has finally woken up a little bit of late. But do I trust Marcus Johansson to play at like a 50 points level of player or even better in the postseason, which earlier in the season he was playing at a 70 point pace before he went in the drought? I don't trust him, no, but we'll see. Tarasenko's close to 50 points, and he's been solid most of the year with a few droughts mixed in. Every player's going to have a drought. Ryan Hartman turned it up late last year as well, and he helped us. 43 points to Ryan Hartman this year because of an extremely strong finish to the season. 23 goals for Ryan Hartman. So, yeah, this team absolutely has a shot to do something. In the middle to lower areas, I think the Wild are deeper than they've been in the past. You don't have, dead weight necessarily, and I hate saying that about people. Yakov Trennin's been solid all year. Not great numbers necessarily, but he's been solid all season. Spurgeon, has been healthy all year. Rodin's actually healthy. I'm still knocking on this wood, boy. Jake Middleton, is a nice, solid guy. Nice, solid guy, especially when healthy. Veteran leadership like Nick Foligno to go with Marcus. Hopefully Marcus can keep his head on straight and not go crazy like he does sometimes. Just don't let him get to you. I know they're going to try to. That's all I got to say about that. I know teams have done that with Foligno in the past. That would be Marcus. Maybe Nick can be a calming influence there. He's the older brother, even though Marcus is an older player on this team. Nick is the older brother, so hopefully that helps at the end of the day. And they're more of a fourth line thing rather than like you're really counting on them to do anything offensively in the series. Whereas Marcus in the past, you were counting on him to do more. Or this year, you don't necessarily have to do that. Thankfully. Is it a winnable series? Yes. I'm having a hell of a time going with it. I'm having a hell of a time deciding where this thing's going to go, but could it be one of those historic 7-game back and forth? Minnesota Wild look like they're going to lose the whole frickin' game and they squeak it out at the end. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to say Minnesota in 7. Minnesota in 7. Back and forth. Historic type series, just like Colorado the 2 times. It's going to be similar to that. I think the Wild emerged victorious with a 4-3 win in Game 7. We'll put it that way. Going to be scary. Going to be back and forth. Horrifying moments in the game. Maybe the Wild go down by 2 goals at one point, but somehow they survive and win Game 7. They just back and forth along the way. The Wild probably split the 2 games in Dallas, and then the next 3, or the next 3. It's going to be like a back and forth type of thing. The Wild then survive. Do the Wild take a 3-2 lead? I think no. I think Dallas takes a 3-2 lead, but then the Wild win Game 6, dramatic fashion in Grand Casino, forcing a 7th game. Kind of similar to those other ones. And then the Wild have that back and forth game where it looks like they're going to lose. Kind of like it's going to look a lot like this 5-4 loss that took place last Thursday. 5-4 loss. It's going to look like that, but the goaltending will be better when it matters most, and then the final goal will come, and the Wild will emerge victorious. That's kind of how I see the series going overall. So the Wild will advance, believe it or not, for the first time in 11 years, because it was 2015, so that'll be 11 years. Yep. First time in 11 years the Wild advanced to the second round at the end of the day. We will take a quick break, come back, and do the overall preview right after this. Going with some Blades of Steel playoff bracket song. Yeah, gotta do that, right? Da, 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 da. Minnesota and Dallas flashing. Yep, that's your next matchup. Well, Minnesota in 7 in that one. I think this is one of those where you pick the winner. Nope, not yet. There's no game scheduled yet. Yeah, isn't that something? So we'll go to the East. The Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres, number 1 in their division. They're not the number 1 seed in the entire East. It's actually Carolina, because they were freaking amazing. I could look at this. I could run down the standings super duper fast here. I gotta do it real quick. Okay, so Carolina in the Eastern Conference, 113 points. Buffalo with 109. Tampa Bay with 106. Montreal Canadiens with 106 points. Montreal Canadiens, yes. Boston Bruins, who look dead and gone, made it with 100 points. Ottawa, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh actually was going to host Philadelphia. Can you believe it? They have the 2 weakest records in the Eastern Conference. Ottawa had 99 points. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia with 98 each. Philadelphia makes the playoffs. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Flyers. Love to seeing them make it, and I hope they beat Pittsburgh, because just do. I kind of agree with John Tortorella. I know he doesn't like him either. Vegas Golden Knights winning another division title. Congratulations. They're 9th. No, they're 5th. Their 5th division title. We'll get to that in a second. Western Conference, Colorado with 119 points. Dallas Stars, 112. Minnesota Wild with 104. Nice. Vegas Golden Knights. So they really do deserve home ice, I guess, because it's like outside of the big 3 here in the Western Conference, the Vegas are the 4th best team in the Western Conference. I guess Utah and Edmonton, Anaheim, they haven't finished yet, but Vegas will finish ahead of all of them. So whatever. They will finish ahead of them. Oh, man, some stuff might shuffle still. I don't know why there's still games. It's weird. Even Colorado hasn't finished yet. They're going to they might win another one. Who knows? That bugs me a little bit. But Utah with 92, Edmonton with 91. That's why the games haven't been scheduled yet. Anaheim and Los Angeles tied is 90. That's annoying. Nashville did miss the playoffs, as did St. Louis, and San Jose missed the playoffs. They missed it kind of crappily, too. Ouch. Vancouver has the worst record with 58 points. 58 points. Yuck. So we'll see what happens to the young men in Vancouver, British Columbia, that were traded over that way. So this is all if the playoffs start today. Well, the Wild will play the Stars for sure. Colorado is probably going to host the Kings, I'm guessing. It still could end up with Anaheim, though. So Edmonton, Anaheim, Vegas would be playing against the Utah. Oh, boy, that's a tough one. Shoot, this might be wrong now. Oh, boy. That's disappointing. So that's disappointing, because some teams haven't finished up yet. But I think in the East it's safer. Buffalo, Boston, man, that's a hell of a matchup for Buffalo, because Boston's been unbelievable, but Buffalo's been great. That's going to be a 6 or 7 game series with the Sabres emerging victorious. Tampa Bay, Montreal. What a tough draw for Montreal. What a tough draw for Tampa, too. In a great season, you got to play Montreal, 106 points? What the heck? That's like that's bullcrap. These teams should have home ice. Both of them should have home ice. Then you have Carolina and Ottawa. Okay, Carolina's the best record in the whole thing. Like Pittsburgh actually gets to host a series, yet they would be the 7th seed if everything was accurate, or even the 8th potentially. It's bullshit. That's bullshit. Pardon my French. I don't like that. The 7th and 8th in the first round. That's not fair. God. That's bullshit. I know I'm swearing my head off here. Frick the Pittsburgh Penguins. But anyhow, Montreal, Tampa, That was a Stanley Cup final. Remember that a couple of years ago? That was funny. Tampa just kind of roared past them. This is a hell of a lot better Montreal team. Even though Eric Stahl was on that team and we love him and everything, yeah, that was not that good of a team, to be fair. I am a little frustrated. There's a couple of games left that might actually mean something. Doggone it, but I got to do the show. It's Thursday. Dang it. Probably could have done the NBA show first time. I sort of flip-flopped them. I apologize. I apologize big time for this, but, you know, I mean, generally speaking, I'm probably going in the same direction, one way or another. Like, I think certain teams are going to be far either way, regardless. Tampa Bay Montreal, that's a tough one. That's a 7-gamer. That's going to be great. Do the Montreal Canadiens emerge victorious, or does Corey Perry go back to the Stanley Cup final? He just might. I think there's a pretty good chance he does, actually. Tampa Bay Lightning win in 7 versus Montreal. Hell of a battle. And they'll end up having to play Buffalo in the next round. Man, anyone saying the East isn't real good, they're wrong. The East is insanely good at the top, at least. Just like the West is insanely good at the top, but in the lower areas, the teams are going to get knocked out early, or they're going to go crazy and pull off insane upsets, like Ottawa over Carolina or something. Imagine that thing happening. Don't think so. Carolina wins in 5 versus the Ottawa Senators. I love the Senators. I really do. I love the Senators. I like their logo. I like the fact that Ottawa has a NHL team. I love the Senators. I'm not buying their merchandise or anything, but I like the Senators. You know, I don't know. If you have mean things to say about them, like, what's the problem? I don't understand, actually. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, if you have a dislike for either one of them, of course. I mean, I'm sure, especially Pittsburgh. I don't like Pittsburgh. I kind of like Philadelphia. I kind of sympathize with them. I mean, they've been to, 6 Stanley Cup finals consecutive that they've lost. It's, ridiculous. Going back into the early 80s. 1980, 85, 87. Sad, 96? 97, they got swept by the Penguins, or the Detroit Red Wings when they were still in the West, of course. Red Wings were in the West back then. Yeah, and then they lost to the Blackhawks. Years later, that's a lot of Stanley Cup finals being lost. So, yeah, I just, there were some nice teams there in Philadelphia in the 80s. I didn't like Lindros that much, but there were some nice teams on that 80s Philadelphia team. That it's too bad that they didn't win a cup any of those years, even just one of them. They ran into basically dynasty teams like the Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers. It's kind of like good luck with that, Philadelphia beats the Pittsburgh Penguins in a back-and-forth crazy series. We'll say 6. Philadelphia, we'll imagine they're on the road. They close it out at home. They beat the Penguins, and I hope they frickin' do. Dang it. They probably won't get any further after that, but at least they'll get past them. Buffalo Sabres and Tampa, oh, man. The winner of that might win the whole thing. They might win the whole thing. They might go to the Cup final at the very least, but there's still Carolina lurking. Jump ahead. Carolina's going to beat Philadelphia in 5. Carolina's going to go to the East Finals fairly easily. They have a pretty easy path to getting there, where the other clubs on the top are going to have to really, really, really earn it. I mean, majorly Buffalo and Tampa in the second round, or whoever, Boston, Montreal, who knows what'll happen. Boston, Tampa, Buffalo, Montreal. Great group of teams there, and it's a shame that they're all kind of stuck in the same area, and Carolina's like, haha. That's basically what Carolina's saying right now, at least in the current matchups and such. Yeah, that Metropolitan Division, oof, it's a toughie. Where do we go here? Tough one. Montreal does not beat Tampa, of course. I said Tampa wins. Tampa wins in 7. Buffalo versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Man, it's a toughie. Might have a 6-gamer, though, believe it or not, out of this one. I got a feeling the Sabres and the Carolina Hurricanes are going to face off in the East Final. So you're going to see a Carolina or Buffalo team in the Stanley Cup Final. What do you think of that? That'd be kind of cool. Carolina looks like one of the best teams in the league right now. I've been on Carolina forever. I really have. I've been on them forever. And I remember last year they were disappointing, and it's like, oh, man, this is weird. It's weird. God, I love that Buffalo team. I do. I think Carolina's kind of a team of destiny at the moment. I mean, even though, again, they have that easy going, but that's probably going to help them. Buffalo's going to be more tired. The Carolina Panthers in a crazy, historic 7-game series go to the Stanley Cup final. Western Conference, be it the Colorado playing the Kings, Utah, or Anaheim, especially if it's going to be the Kings or Anaheim. I do believe it's going to be one of the California clubs there. It's not going to be Utah. It's just not. Utah's tough. The Colorado wins in like 5 versus either one. Maybe, I think they could even sweep the Ducks. The Kings, I think, will put up a little bit of a fight, especially it's Kopitar's last game or games here coming up. Kopitar, you saw the handshake line with him, just like our guy Marc-Andre Fleury last year was a similar thing against the Ducks, I believe, if I remember correctly. So kind of funny how that all turns out. So that's the end of Kopitar when their season is over. I do not see the Kings going on a miracle run like Kopitar's club did way back in 2012. I do not see that happening. Nope, that's not going to happen this time around. It's crazy how the Wild could have had him all way back in the day instead of taking that disappointing guy, was it 4th overall at the time? Guy by the name of Benoit Pouliot, of course. That's who the Wild took, but way back in 2005. That's when Kopitar went, that draft. I think it was right around there, didn't he? Yes, he went 11th to Los Angeles. Crazy. Yeah, that was the Sidney Crosby draft. You know, the Wild did not win the lottery. The Pittsburgh Penguins did. Bleep you. Okay, sorry. Jack Johnson was a strong guy. We tried to get him, but he didn't make it after the training camp tryout, whatever. Devin Seneguchi went ahead of Anze Kopitar. Happens. I mean, it happens. Think of how high Mark Stahl went. He's just okay, you know. He went 1 pick after Kopitar to the Rangers. Crazy. Great draft for the Los Angeles Kings. Got the second best player out of that draft, didn't they? Oh, they did. Yep, Sidney, of course, is the... Yeah, I know. We all love Sidney. Not. He's okay. I'm just kidding. He's obviously a hell of a player. First ballot, unanimous Hall of Famer, but I think Kopitar is too. I love what he did in Los Angeles. I hate the Kings, but I love what he did in Los Angeles. 2012 was fun. I actually was rooting for that Kings team because of what they were able to accomplish, and I didn't really have any dislike for him yet. Dustin Brown's elbow to our guy years ago definitely got that started. Jason Pominville, yep. I don't know why I'm so blanky today. Like, duh, Jason Pominville. But anyhow, Colorado wins in 5 versus the Ducks or the Kings, basically. It's kind of like the undecided stuff. Edmonton, I think, about the same. Edmonton is going to have a tougher battle with either one of them. There's no doubt. Like if you have a Gretzky series, Edmonton, Los Angeles, that'll be a tough one. It'll be tough. Minnesota does beat the Stars in 7, so you're going to have Colorado and Minnesota in the second round. Oh, boy. Vegas, I think, versus Utah. Utah is going to put up a hell of a fight. But I love what John Tortorella is doing there. They went from a team that looked awfully mediocre, that might even miss the playoffs or make the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, and be, basically going out for the slaughter in Colorado, which is where they were headed. And that's not because Bruce Cassidy's not a good coach. For whatever reason, I don't know why they weren't responding to him. I think he's a great coach, and I would take him in Minnesota today if the Minnesota Wild had the option to have him. Today, I would. But anyhow, we'll continue the Vegas Golden Knights versus Utah. It's an interesting one. Could be a back and forth battle. Again, Tortorella. I think the Knights win the series. I think they'll get the job done. Again, like Tortorella's doing a good job. I mean, if it's some kind of a sugar high, whatever, they like Tortorella better. Either way, he's doing a good job and they're winning games. What were they, 7-0-1 with Tortorella so far? So it deserves some kind of recognition here. The Golden Knights at least win one playoff series. I think it'd be Utah, Anaheim, or Los Angeles in this final setup here. Obviously, all those Pacific divisions are kind of moving around. Utah's not in the Pacific, but just, things kind of go back and forth. It's probably going to be Vegas, Utah, though. I think Edmonton and Anaheim, they might wind up with the Kings. Who knows? That's more where the matchups are going to be bouncing around, I think, versus Colorado or Edmonton. I'm sure either one of them would love to face Edmonton instead. But Vegas beats Utah in 6. Long story longer or shorter, finally kind of getting on with this thing. Edmonton versus Anaheim. I mean, I think Edmonton wins that series. It'll be closer than it should be because Edmonton's not been great. But then again, maybe they will be. Maybe they finally turn it on. And last year they were pretty mediocre. And then here come the playoffs and they went all the way back to the final. So, but this time they don't have Corey Perry. He's on Tampa, dang it. but I don't think Corey Perry goes to the final this year. Absolutely can, but I do believe it's going to be Buffalo or Carolina in the final on the east side. Edmonton, Vegas in the second round, so which gives Vegas a chance to go all the way to the West final, which is pretty crazy. And I think Vegas goes to the West finals. I do think they beat Edmonton in a a pretty good series, 6 or 7. I think they beat the Edmonton Oilers to go to the West final. The Vegas Golden Knights in the West final. Yep, again, they're kind of like Carolina in terms of they have easier matchups. So they can get past Utah. I do think they go to the West final. Edmonton does not go back to the Cup final. Their run ends there. Minnesota versus Colorado is going to be a tough battle back and forth. The Wild played Colorado pretty good this year. The Wild would have some tough battles with them, but then emerge victorious in some cases. Otherwise, Colorado would swat us into the ground. And it has the makings of what could be one of the great upsets. One of those great upsets of the past, where the Minnesota Wild could wind up in the West final, and potentially a Stanley Cup final versus Carolina, which would be a dream for me in so many ways, or a Buffalo, Minnesota, or even the Boston Bruins go all the way to the final to play the Wild. Just like that vision I had a few weeks ago. It was literally like a vision I had in my head. Like, oh my God, I could just imagine it happening. And that would be an interesting series too. It was an ugly game. The Boston was beating the Wild pretty bad in that regular season game a few weeks back. This Colorado series, the winner of this series goes to the Stanley Cup final. Minnesota versus Colorado goes to the Stanley Cup final and plays an extremely tough opponent, and who knows what happens. God. It's kind of like, to be fair and honest, I think Colorado wins the damn series. I want to say Minnesota, I really do. But just to be fair and honest here, rather than sound like a complete homer, Colorado wins it in 7. It'll be kind of like that Vegas series, back and forth. Colorado gets it done, goes to the Cup final, beats Vegas in 5. Just beats Vegas in 5. Unless Vegas shows up and keeps it going, who knows? Vegas, Carolina would be fun. But I think you're going to have Colorado, Carolina, Stanley Cup final. And the Carolina Hurricanes emerge victorious, beat Colorado in the end. Brent Burns' second team beats his third team in the Stanley Cup final. So Brent Burns is beaten in the Cup final. Otherwise, maybe I could go the other way, where maybe Brent Burns winds up like Ray Bourque, where he finally gets the Stanley Cup at the end of the career there in the same team all these years later, 25 years later. Brent Burns wins the Stanley Cup just like Ray Bourque after an amazing career, with the Sharks, with the Sharks. And then, he went to the Cup final and everything. Okay, obviously started off here, looked promising, had some concussion issues and all that. I met him, a clean-shaven, 18-year-old, nicest kid on the planet. I don't know when I met him, 18 years old. He signed the little, I think it was a stick, or was it a jersey? I can't remember if it was a stick or jersey. I think it was a stick, because it was way back in 03. This young, bright-eyed, 18-year-old named Brent Burns. It's just, I get emotional thinking about that and how cool that is. And what he became, a sure Hall of Famer. And here he is in his early 40s now, skating with the Colorado Avalanche, trying to win a Stanley Cup, and on the best team in the league, just like Ray Bourque was those years ago. Okay, I'm changing my pick. Colorado wins the Stanley Cup. Do I like it? No. Not at all. But Colorado wins the Stanley Cup, but I do like it for Brent Burns, and you will see a Ray Bourque-like situation where Landeskog hands that Stanley Cup to Ray Bourque, Brent Burns, very early. Or it might go to the captain, or it might go to McKinnon and then to Brent Burns right away. Brent Burns has to hold that cup up. It's not as emotional necessarily as it was with Ray Bourque at the time. The people probably saw Ray Bourque as a more of a historic figure than they do Brent Burns, but Brent Burns, I think, deserves a ton of respect for what he's done throughout his career. So that's what I'm leaning towards. With that said, so Colorado wins the frickin' cup in 6. No, it's going to be, it'll be a 6-game series. With that said, we'll take a quick break and jump to Fan Interaction now. And we are back here on Brave the Wild, segment number 3, fan interaction segment, if humanly possible. At Brave the Wild, and when you're commenting directly to the show, hashtag it BTWMN. BTWMN, that way I can kind of keep things organized on the Twitter or X account, whatever. And, yep, a couple of stuff right before the poll. We're going to get to that very quick here, but first, a couple things so I don't miss the comments here. I was saying 11 national championships for Denver men's hockey. Yuck. Yeah, I didn't like it. You notice I didn't look at the prospects this time around, but we'll get back to them in a week. I want to do the preview this week, and the amount of time, it's not easy here. So I'll probably have more time to dig into that a little bit. We'll see. 11 national championships for Denver men's hockey, the Pioneers. Yuck. I know the alternative was Wisconsin, but yuck. Raise your hand if you're sick of Denver. Yeah, I'm raising my hand. I'm sick of Denver. Yeah, I know we didn't want Wisconsin either. Derek was saying the NCHC's dominance of college hockey continues. Back-to-back championships is impressive and caps off a nice senior season for Ryger Lorenz. Yes, I'm happy for him. Now he's off to turn pro, and he did sign with the Minnesota Wild. Yes, and the Wild did sign a Wisconsin player as well, defenseman. Mr. Derek Felska continues saying, I know you hate it, but at least Wisconsin didn't win. Yes, there's that. Up and Derek Felska, of course, the host of Creases' podcast. Got to get on board that ASAP. More than worth it, that's for sure. Great show. Tom Hand says, and the NCHC isn't going anywhere, and DU is leading the charge. Yep, I was saying, I know, but I don't like it. I don't. They're like, too bad, Joey. Too bad, so sad. Tom Haynes says, as a St. Cloud State University grad, I think it's glorious, but I know fans of the T-Rats, the Tree Rats, don't like it as much. The Tree Rats. Well, at least you didn't call me a road. Well, you kind of did. Well, again, I have to make one final comeback. 5-0. That's an easy. That's the comeback I have. 5-0. I won't say easy, but it's because they haven't done any of those 5 anytime recently. But 5-0 still counts. Anybody out there wondering what that means? 5 national championships, 2-0 national championships. Okay. Well, so since we can tease each other, innocent little trash talking, I'm gonna say 5-0. What do Packer fans do to us Viking fans all the time? What do they do? The same thing. So I might as well lower myself to Packer fan land, I guess. Yeah, I know, it's stupid. So, yeah, decent amount of votes. How will the Minnesota Wild versus the Dallas Stars series end up? Feel free to comment. Please retweet, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, yep, 6 retweets. Thanks, guys. Wild in 6 or 7, Stars in 6 or 7. Wild in 4 or 5, Stars in 4 or 5. So, first place right now, with a day remaining, Minnesota Wild lead the way with 6 or 7 in game 6 or 7, and I am voting that way myself, unofficially, because I can't. 66.7%. Stars in 6 or 7 coming in second place at 20. Third place, Stars in 4 or 5. Ouch. 10.7%. And the Wild in 4 or 5. 2.7. Very optimistic fans there. So there's stuff to get to, and I better get to it now. Stephen Miller, who has been on, he's been a regular now on the Creases podcast. Love what he does. He says I'm gonna try to avoid some of the replies, although I'll be going on forever. I'll just read to what they're, the actual comment versus the replies to the comment. Just for the sake of time here, because unfortunately it's, stretched. Get to the point, Joey. It's Steve Miller. It's going to come to the play in front of the goalies. If goalie struggles, then W can't step in. Yep. Or then, that'd be Wallstead can step in. If G struggles, that would be Gustafsson, then Wallstead steps in. Personally, I like Wallstead as his play helps reduce defensive zone faceoffs and leads to quicker zone exits. That's a good one, Steve. I like that. And yes, I agree with you there. I absolutely do. Tom Hand. Minnesota Wild win the series in 6 games. Lose the opening 2 and reel off 4 straight. Interesting thought there, Tom. Yes, for Wallstead will be the difference, along with the team's newfound quality special teams. Historical playoff futility comes to an end this season. The power of the 2-3-9 should not be overlooked. Yeah, they're dangerous. They're definitely dangerous, the Dallas Stars. Yeah, very dangerous. Here he is. Derek jumps in, says, with Gustafsson's shaky play, I feel that goaltending will be this team's Achilles heel. That would be like Minnesota said on our last podcast. Yep, that would be Teresa. Yep, Teresa. I was like, wait a minute, that's not. Yeah, yep, like Teresa said in the last podcast. Yes, yeah, I do remember her saying that. Even if you put in Wallstead, that's a lot of pressure on a young goalie. Like a young player. Even though we might compete better, we still fall short. So Derek has us losing the series. And, yep, I mean, it's a strong possibility. It really is. There's a very strong possibility the Wild do not win the series. Jay Bushy, back on board. Thank you, Jay, always. My guess is Wild in 7, but goaltending and Dean zone coverage need to be better than the Stars. Yep, and that tends to be that seems to be a trend here, and it's accurate. It's accurate. It's a huge fear going into this one. Emin Johan, of course, Wild can lose in 4 or 5. Of course, the Wild can lose in 4 or 5. I love how the pessimists assume our players will not perform up to their ability, but the other team will shine, and then shrugs. This is the best Wild team I've seen. Same here. I have no reason to protect myself for disappointment. Wild in 5. I like it. All right, man, Johan. I hope so. I hope so, Johan. I really do. Wouldn't that be great? Just like the whole Wolves in 5. Like a lot of us were terrified going against the Los Angeles Lakers last year. And it was Wolves in 5. And Anthony Edwards said everybody was saying Lakers in 5, Lakers in 5. And it ended up being Wolves in 5. I loved how he said that at the press conference after Game 5. And I'd love to imagine Marian Gaborik say, or I keep calling him Gaborik. Imagine Kirill Kaprizov saying something like that. It would be totally out of character, but it'd be awesome. A lot of people were saying is Stars in 5, but at the end of the day, it ended up being Wild in 5. And then he just kind of smiles like, like his laugh, whatever. I can't do the laugh. That would be great. Scott Forner says the Wild will be eliminated in the first round again because of Jake Ottinger. Maybe. He hasn't been great, but maybe. Michael Bolstad says Stars are just too tough physically and mentally. Wild win Game 1. They have a chance. If the Wild win Game 1, they have a chance. Otherwise, Dallas in 5. Ouch. Well, maybe. Big Dog 658. Welcome aboard. Says shaky defense, too many turnovers. If Dallas locks down Kaprizov or Boley, then you need to depend on guys like Harman and Tarasenko for scoring, and it's game over. Dallas in 5 or 6. Mike Snowrider 24/7. Ooh. I really want to say the Wild, and they are a much better team this year than any other year, but I fear the lack of center depth will hurt the Wild against the Stars. By no means Billy G's on the hot seat. Or by no means is Billy G on the hot seat. I'm reading it weird, sorry. If the Wild lose, but Dallas is just too strong and to lose to the Wild. They're too strong to lose to us, basically. Yep. Yeah. Caleb says, damn it. I'm being honest. Stars will win, unfortunately. Hope I'm wrong. Abrams says, if Gus plays more than 2, we will lose in 4 or 5. Wow, he's not impressed with Bus at all. Free hockey's the last one. Unless Gus or Wally can get hot, the Minnesota Wild will get out in the first round. Yeah, I mean, goaltending is crucial. Bottom line, the goaltending is crucial. That seems to be the theme here, and I think you're right. I think you guys are right about the whole goaltending being crucial in this series. Crucial. So, Morty jumped in. Here we go. He says, there's been a couple more here, looks like. So Mike and, okay, nope, I already read that one. There's Morty, though. Morty says, top center's the Achilles heel of the Wild for years now. Defensively, they are decent, but on face-offs and scoring, well, they're not good. Nope. It will be a good series, hopefully. Yep, I understand the center situation is definitely Achilles heel as well. Just like the goaltending, and the goaltending shouldn't be an Achilles heel, but it is. So it shouldn't be, but it is. That type of thing. Never heard of that before. Yeah, shouldn't be, but it is. So I hope I didn't miss anybody. I really hope I didn't. I appreciate all of you so much for listening to the show. I'm surprised it's it's shorter. But then again, usually the playoff ones are a little bit shorter as we kind of get just stuck on one topic, on the main topic of the postseason here. Plus, also got a skedoodle, unfortunately. Every time I think I'm getting going, I'm not. There's always little tiny things going on behind the scenes here before, during, and after shows. So just it is what it is. Huge shout out to MNW Young Guns as well. Love you guys so much. And I want to see who retweeted here because I didn't even look yet or reposted or whatever they call it. I just want to see it. Can I please see it? Let me see it. Oh my God. Oh, yep. MNW Young Guns did retweet it. Thank you guys. You guys are the greatest. I appreciate you. Derek didn't? Huh. Wow, I'm surprised. Usually he does, but I understand. Maybe he thought he did. I think I've done that before where I've missed. So I understand. I totally understand. And yeah, MNW Young Guns, thank you. That was awesome. Minnesota Wild fans, thank you so much for the retweet. I mean, Johan, Jay Bushy, Mike, you guys, I really appreciate you so much for retweeting the show. It means a lot, and it really does. I appreciate you so much. Definitely helped generate some more votes, and definitely got viewed quite a bit. That's for sure. So I really appreciate you. Sometimes this show needs some love. You know, I'm not big at all. In fact, like when I say I'm on THPN, I don't think there's any doubt. I'm probably almost certainly the smallest show on there. The oldest show, yes, but also the smallest on that network. So it's just what it is. It's partially because of my availability has not helped. The best ability is availability because of the lawn service historically. But maybe we'll have some more shows in the summer this year because I'm semi-retired from the lawn service now, so that does help. Enough about me. It's all about you guys and about this Minnesota Wild team. Hopefully, going on a legitimate playoff run. I'd love to see the Wild beat Dallas and Colorado, go to the final, and even win it. Wouldn't that be amazing? It'd be fun. We're so due for that around here. It's not even funny. 35 years ago, the Twins won the World Series. It's a long, long time. Way too long. So hopefully the Wild can be the team to end the drought for Minnesota sports teams. That's what our hope is. Let's go for it. Thank you again so much, all of you. And we'll be back shortly. We're going to try to keep up. The release of the show may be semi-sporadic now because of the playoffs. It might not just be Thursday. So we'll see how it goes going forward. With that said, so thanks again so much for listening. Have a have a good time. Enjoy the spring, and we'll be back soon.